Hello, welcome friends, and thanks for joining us for this free webinar, The Importance of Essential Oil and the Amazing Sense of Smell. Today's webinar is brought to you courtesy of Bastyr Continuing Education Department in collaboration with Jim Harrison, cosmetologist and certified aromatherapist. My name is Susan Collins, and I'm the manager of programs for Bastyr's Continuing Education Department. Jim Harrison offers training in aromatherapy for essential oils for the public and professionals. If you're interested in becoming a certified professional aromatherapist or just want a natural healing therapy tool in your belt for your family, please visit our website at http://bastyr.edu/continuing-education and go to the course calendar and peruse some of Jim's offerings and other professional education opportunities at Bastyr. So just wanted to let you know that Jim's aromatherapy course Foundations, which is the first course in this series of being a certified aromatherapist, begins here in the Kenmore location at Bastyr, September 30th through October 1st. So just so you know, if you're interested in becoming a professional, you need to take this course first before you take any others in the series, which repeat sometimes during the year. So we'll be happy to help you with that if you want to give us a contact email or phone call at Continuing Education. So about Jim Harrison. Jim founded the Phytotherapy Institute in 1995 to advance education in essential oil and plant therapy. Jim Harrison is a published author, and he has conducted certification programs and lectures in essential oil therapy for natural health, massage, spa therapy, aesthetics, and medical institutions across the country, including Harvard University, Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and Harvard Medical School. Jim Harrison is a leading authority in aromatherapy and natural skin health. He has helped to pioneer nutritional, holistic beauty programs. Jim is an expert formulator and has customized essential oil systems for spas, resorts, has formulated essential oil products, and has developed professional and retail organic nutritional skincare. Jim Harrison is the author of Aromatherapy, Therapeutic Use of Essential Oils for Aesthetics, and developed and teaches the Essential Oil and Aromatherapy Certificate Program for Bastyr University Continuing Education. So Jim, how do we get the amazing sense of smell through aromatherapy?
Yes, thank you, Susan. I'm going to tell you all about that right now. So, essential oils is always the topic. This one's a little different because I'm really going to be focusing on the sense of smell, our olfactory system, because it's, as we all know, it's called aromatherapy. So, of course, it's going to relate to smell. It's the essence, it's the odor. It's more than that, and we have to understand how the olfactory system works in order to understand how essential oils work and how to use essential oils. So we're going to look at aromatherapy and the amazing sense of smell. Okay, here we go. It's having a little trouble with buttons here. All right, so we're looking at the olfactory system and our sense of smell. Take a breath. What do you smell right now? Because every second of every day, every moment of your life, you're relating to the aromas that are in the atmosphere. It drives how you feel, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. The olfactory system is one of the most ignored senses that we have. You know, you walk into a smelly room and you go, oh, yeah, you know, and they're selling spray things because, you know, rooms smell bad all the time. So we have a focus on the olfactory system, but we don't really have a focus on understanding the olfactory system and the sense of smell and how it influences our behavior. So the olfactory system is more than what it smells like. And that's one of the conditions that I have in my classes. So when you sit in my classroom, we pass around essential oils. We smell them all day long. We're smelling essential oils. I call it a rule, but I break rules all the time. So this is a rule you don't break. When you smell an oil in my class, I ask you not. So it's not what the oil smells like. which is where our brain goes to automatically. It wants to identify it. It wants to relate to the odor. And I'll explain how that works in relationship to the limbic system and evolution and behavior. So it's an automatic response that we're trying to identify the odor. And sometimes when we're trying to identify the odor, we're identifying it by I like it or I don't like it. You're not allowed to like or dislike in my classes. And the reason I do it that way is because it's the best way to understand an oil, because when we're talking about the olfactory system and the sense of smell and relationship to odors, we're talking about how it feels. What is the effect that the odor has on our body, the way our body feels, physically and emotionally? There is a feeling that goes with every odor. And so this is a way to identify how essential oils work by feeling them rather than by liking or disliking. So the olfactory system has a direct effect on our nervous system, and also the endocrine system, hormones and neuropeptides, messenger molecules in our body. So the olfactory system overall, I'm not just talking about essential oils, every smell, everything we smell has an effect physically and emotionally on our body. And it affects our behavior and our health and our emotions, as I've already said, but I'm going to say that again because I see the way that's there at the bottom. Anyway, scent and behavior. Oops, trying to go faster than I'm going. Slow down, keep up. Yeah, scent and behavior. Here we go. All right, so what's the first thing you do when you pick up almost any product you're going to buy? And it's mostly women and going to the beauty counter and for creams. What's the first thing you do? You smell it, right? You smell the product because you don't want a product that you don't like the scent of. There's a like and dislike thing, right? That's really powerful when it comes to using especially skincare, which goes right here, right near your nose. So you're smelling it all the time. So one of the first things that most people do is they'll smell a product. And this even goes with things like laundry detergent and fabric softeners and cleaning supplies. The smell is really important. And that's not necessarily about like or dislike, right? Because this is all, there's a thing called fragrance branding and fragrance marketing. And so when you're buying a cleaning product, it's not necessarily you don't want it to smell good because you're going to go out and be attractive. You want it to smell a certain way because you want it to smell clean and fresh, right? So it's a cleaning product. The fragrance is creating a feeling about clean and fresh for a cleaning product. When it comes to a beauty product, the fragrance should send the message of this is beautiful. This is going to make my skin beautiful. This is going to make me feel beautiful. Or if you're not so much interested in that beauty thing, then it would be my skin's going to be healthy. This smells like it's healthy skin. So scent creates an idea. I'm going to talk about ideas in a minute here too. So what's happening when you smell that product is you're responding with an emotion. You're responding with a feeling. And I'm going to talk next about attraction and aversion and how scent creates these attractions and aversions. But that's what it's all about. That feeling is about going toward or moving away from. It's often done unconsciously. You're smelling it and you're going, I like it, I don't like it. But all those feelings can be very unconscious. You're not really aware of the behavioral change or the emotional change or even the physical change in your body. And again, I'm focusing a little bit here on skincare, but it has to do with everything. You walk into a room, the room has an odor, you immediately are responding to that odor environment in a way about how the room feels. That's how the olfactory system works. It also works off memory. So scent and memory are extremely important and linked, totally linked together. Your dislike and your like that I've been talking about, it really comes from your emotional memory to an odor. Every odor, or I should start with every memory, has an odor attachment. And we get that big video player in our head sometimes when we smell something. It triggers a memory. The common way of saying it is, you smell apple pie, it reminds me of going to grandma's house when she made all those apple pies. Memory can be very, very strongly triggered when you smell an odor that's related to that memory. A lot of times we don't have the conscious memory going on, but we have a feeling or an emotion that's triggered by the aroma. And again, you walk into a room and all of a sudden you don't feel good, you feel uncomfortable or a little uneasy, and it's not a big uneasy, it's not a big uncomfortable, but it's enough for you to kind of feel it without really relating it to the odors in the room. But it could very well be the odor in the room, the memory and the emotional attachment with that odor, and it's triggering that discomfort that happens. This happens every second of every day for everybody. Now, your feelings are guided by stored olfactory memory. So this is what I'm talking about. When you walk into a room, when you respond to, when we do essential oils, people respond to memory very, very often. There's lemongrass. So a lot of you, if you have worked with essential oils, that's a very common oil. When I pass an oil that's similar to lemongrass, a lot of people go, ooh, liquid pledge. Because the memory association with the compound, the lemon-smelling compound that is in lemongrass, is what's used to fragrance lemon pledge. And so a lot of people have a very strong emotional relationship with that odor molecule that triggers the memory of this cleaning product of lemon pledge. This is how powerful the olfactory, memory, and emotion association is. Now, positive memory, powerful connection, and you can use essential oils to create these really, really positive emotions. So we can create them. I'm going to talk about how to create a positive memory association or a positive emotional association with a certain odor, specifically essential oils that we use. And here's the cool thing about working with essential oils in relationship to the olfactory system. It doesn't even matter what oil you use. There's no therapeutic properties to this, which really gets outside of how we teach it about essential oils relating to the chemistry and the properties and all of these other conditions where we say, here's how the oil is going to work because of these conditions. When you get into the olfactory system, throw all that stuff out because it does not relate. I can use a stimulating essential oil and create a calming effect with it if I create that kind of emotional memory with that oil. That's cool. And it's a great way to work with essential oils. It gives you so much more flexibility. So attraction and aversion, I mentioned that. Let me tell you where that's coming from. Because the sense of smell is really part of what's called chemotaxis, which is the first sense mechanism in one's that's good for you or good for the one-celled organism, that chemical will trigger attraction, meaning going towards. It's healthy, it's good, you want that. If it's toxic or poisonous or will create death, the one-celled organism will move away from, aversion, away from that compound or that chemical. This is what the olfactory system is. It's about attraction, moving toward the chemical, or aversion, moving away from. So we see this, how it works in our everyday life. Open up the refrigerator, dig way back into that area where you have some food stored that you were going to eat later, and open up that tin and smell it, and what's the first thing that happens is it's aversion. You pull away from that food. That's chemotaxis. That's the olfactory system at its most primitive way of functioning at work. Chemotaxis, aversion and attraction. Now, if it's some yummy, delicious, wonderful food and you're sitting in a restaurant and all of a sudden it just comes up into your nostrils and you want that food, it's about attraction, which is also triggering another response in the olfactory system, because the olfactory system is going to prep your body also by triggering a release of certain neurotransmitters and communication through the nervous system. And what happens when you smell really good food, if you've been, you're hungry, you're at the, 6:30, 7 o'clock, you're at the restaurant and you haven't eaten for a while and, you haven't really paid attention, all of a sudden you're hungry, your saliva starts, and your belly starts as soon as you smell that food. That's what chemotaxis is all about. Also, the functioning of the olfactory system. So in essential oils, what we want to do is we want to learn how to work with that function to create better health. So just an overview on how the olfactory system works, okay? So there's a direct interaction with the limbic system. When you smell, you're pulling molecules up into your nasal passage. And then hanging out from your nasal passage at the very top through a mucousy membrane up there is nerve endings. The nerve endings, I should say the molecules bind. It's like a lock and key. It has to be the right fit to fit in the right nerve ending. It'll trigger a response through that nerve ending, sending a signal through the olfactory bulb and into the limbic system. This is how all odor works, okay? So it's going directly into the limbic system. The limbic system is the most primitive part of the brain. It triggers all the most primitive responses. Smell food, triggers saliva, triggers digestion. I'm going to talk about some of the specific oils that have been analyzed for their effect on the nervous system and the results from that in a couple of frames here. So influence on the central and autonomic nervous system, really important on the autonomic nervous system, which I really focus on a lot in my classes. Autonomic nervous system is really important to regulate because we're so much in a fight or flight society. We're always just tensed up, ready to run, ready to fight. And that comes from being in traffic. That comes from dealing with a boss that irritates and puts a lot of pressure on you. That comes from our own mind triggering that kind of stress. Our body goes into fight or flight, which is a sympathetic nervous system basically in overdrive. The heart's going blah, 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 and the digestion is kind of squeezed off. The breath is getting shortened because it's preparing our bodies from the most primitive response to fight or to run away. So that's where adrenaline gets released. So the importance of understanding how essential autonomic nervous system, you not dismiss how important that is to understand. And this is something I cover a lot in every class. I'll talk about the autonomic response through the olfactory system, smelling the essential oils. If you haven't noticed yet, we're talking about the olfactory system. And what I haven't told you yet is it's one of the best ways to use essential oils. So I'm kind of reviewing why. This is the way to use essential oils. The internal use and the topical use and everything else, it's all kind of secondary. The first way to use essential oils is through the sense of smell and by understanding the effect, okay? So the direct influence on the central and autonomic nervous system is very important in the use of essential oils. And then the interaction with the endocrine system. So that's messenger molecules, hormones, and these messenger molecules communicate with the body, signaling the body to respond in a certain way. And so this is also really important. It gets a little bit deeper, and it's something that I do cover in my classes, especially in the 3-day olfactory class that we do, which is a lot of fun, by the way. In that class, every oil is numbered. You don't know what oils you're smelling, and at the end, where I do blending, we do a blending exercise at the end of every class. In that class, you blend by number, not by name. It's a really cool exercise. All right, so let's look at some of the studies that have been done. And this is just a handful of them that I'm putting up here. So grapefruit, and this is 2 separate studies, grapefruit and lavender. They were shown the effect that they have on the autonomic nervous system, and autonomic neurotransmission is the terminology that they use, and blood pressure. So I talked about the heart bump, bump, bump during fight or flight. So you can regulate that, and that's also what causes blood pressure is that fight or flight response and stress. Grapefruit and lavender. Now a lot of people, they hear about lavender and go, yeah, it's a calming oil. But when we understand the actual mechanisms about how it works, it gives us a lot of variety in our choices of essential oils and how we work with them. That's the importance of understanding the olfactory system, because it breaks away from the limits of this property for that oil, so I use it this way. We can let all that go, and it really gives us a bigger essential oil medicine cabinet to work with when we work with it through the olfactory system. So the grapefruit and lavender, both shown through all the necessary steps of a really good study, how it influences central nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Well, in this study it was autonomic. So not only would it lower blood pressure, it's going to help cardiovascular response, it'll help deeper breathing, and it also helps digestion. Anybody that has any kind of digestive issues should really focus on the autonomic response of using essential oils. Two of the main oils that we know about for digestion are fennel and aniseed, and those two oils work directly on autonomic nervous system function. And people find it interesting because they know, fennel, and people come and know about essential oils in my classes, and well, what do you use for stress? And I'll look at it, well, what do you use for digestion? And they go, well, peppermint and ginger and fennel and aniseed. And okay, let's look at two of those, fennel and aniseed. Why do they work so well for digestion? The reason is because they work on the autonomic nervous function. And if they're working on autonomic nervous function to help relax the body so there can be more influence put into proper digestion, it helps the other parts of the body relax. So it's actually, fennel and aniseed are great for insomnia. I use them in a couple of the insomnia blends that I do. So lavender also, in another study, it affects the autonomic nerves, lipolysis and appetite. So now what we're looking at is lavender actually controls appetite, and it actually helps burn fat cells. And it does that through its interaction with not only the autonomic nervous system, but the central nervous system. Study with grapefruit was basically showing the same thing. I give it a little more detail just to throw some of the words in that came in from the study. So it excites the sympathetic nerves, and that again is autonomic nervous system, innervating, which means it's signaling for a breakdown of white and brown adipose tissue, which is fat cells, and also it helps adrenal function. When you're burned out, you have adrenal fatigue, and you think you need a stimulant, you don't. Okay, and no essential oil is going to be a stimulant for somebody that has adrenal fatigue. What you need to do is you need to regenerate the adrenals. The way you do that is by relaxing sympathetic nervous system, bring up parasympathetic nervous function. That's working in the autonomic nervous system. That's the thing that'll help energize the body. So relaxing the body actually helps energize the body when it comes to adrenal fatigue. And so there is a function or a communication between essential oils, the autonomic nervous system, and the adrenal glands. So it also inhibits the vagal nerve, innervating the stomach, so that means that we're going to get some digestive function going on here, and lipolysis, which we mentioned already, and heat production. And so what's happening here is you reduce appetite and body weight if it's used in a program. So this is very simplistic, me telling you that, smell some grapefruit, you're going to lose some weight. Try it, it may work. But it really needs to be part of a program. Let's look at the olfactory and the hypothalamus response. So when I said you have that signaling through the olfactory bulb into the limbic system, the hypothalamus is kind of a receiver. It says, well, go here, go there. And through the hypothalamus, which is triggered by olfaction, and using specific essential oils for this, you can communicate with the body through the hypothalamus. In this study, they're looking at osmanthus, which is not an essential oil, it's an absolute. Beautiful. If you can get the real thing, it's beautiful. So osmanthus, which my first experience was probably one of the most, I don't even know how to describe it. I was kind of doing brain work and writing on my laptop, and a friend of mine that had some really good oils sent me this osmanthus. This is years ago, and I had no idea what it was. I put it into a diffuser, and after a few minutes, I had to shut down and just for a few minutes, like 15 minutes. I couldn't. I shouldn't say couldn't function, but I was enjoying the moment. There was such a powerful feeling there, and so it's known to have what they're calling a mild sedative effect. It was a little bit more for that than that for me, but it also, they're looking at this for, again, appetite. And I just find random studies and just to see what people have studied on essential oils. And this was pretty random. I never would have thought osmanthus would be good to decrease motivation to eat, decrease the food intake, and decrease body weight. So you feel good and you lose weight. What could be better, right? So this is study. The data is suggesting the effects are due to suppression of orexigenic. Now, this is appetite stimulant, and then also loss of appetite. And so it's all about neuropeptides being released to the hypothalamus. There is a physical response through the olfactory system. This is why I will repeat this. This is why I say essential oils are at their best through olfaction. And you actually do absorb some, so if you're thinking of bacteria or something like that, that's a whole another category. But for the overall use of essential oils, it's really through the olfactory system. People don't realize that. You drink it, some people are told to put drops in water, and you drink it. Sometimes it has nothing to do with you doing it in the water and getting into your digestive system. The response is you're smelling it when you're drinking it. Try just smelling it and see if it works the same way if you've been drinking your essential oils. Because why waste so much good essential oils by drinking them all? All right, scent and feelings. Let's go through this one again. Smell and emotion connected bidirectionally. And I just saw a study the other day that says how somebody feels about an odor is going to affect how you're going to feel about the odor. And what that's doing is talking about a bidirectional response. So you're watching somebody and they kind of go, ugh. And so in your brain you have this kind of feeling. So you're more likely to not like the oil or the fragrance either. It's not always that simplistic, but pay attention to the subtleties in that. Okay? So bidirectionally, how you feel is going to affect how something smells. How something smells, or more specifically, what it does for you through the limbic system is how you're going to feel emotionally. It's a bidirectional communication, scent and feelings. All right, let's look at a little bit of behavior. I get asked often in my classes, woman or student that has a father with type 2 diabetes, what can I do for him? He's having this kind of pain, these kind of issues digestively, and these kind of issues with his heart and swelling, and all the conditions that would go with being a type 2 diabetic. But when I hear these conditions, what I'm hearing is he's not taking care of himself, right? There is nothing you can do for somebody if they aren't taking care of themselves. I was in China, and kind of a translation thing going on, so I have to be, in a way, do physical explanations. And I was trying to explain this to him. No essential is going to work if the condition is due to somebody's bad behavior, whether it's emotional behavior or physical behavior like a bad diet. So, I got up near the wall and I'm going like, okay, I have a headache. What essential oil should I use? No. Stop banging your head against the wall. Then I'll tell you what essential oil to use for the damage that you did to your head and your brain and why you have a headache due to smash your head against the wall. You have to change the behavior. You cannot change behavior unless the person wants to, unless the person is actively working at changing the behavior. That's the challenge here. But essential oils can help manipulate or change and make it behavioral adjustments. This is a real practice that I'll teach this in my classes. And I do it in little sections, but in the olfactory class I really talk how to create these kind of behavioral changes. So it's all about trying to help the person take control of their life. And you can do this with essential oils, but it's not about the physical issues that are caused by the example type 2 diabetes. You can do a little bit for that, but without changing the behavior that's causing that, the oils aren't going to be too effective. So you can create a program to help the person change their behavior, be more positive, create new memory associations, and change moods. So this, I'm going to give you a little bit of how we do this. You use essential oils. It's best to do either a new blend or an oil the person hasn't been exposed to. And what you're going to do is you're going to use this to create a new positive memory. or a new positive behavior. Now, this is really the work of a psychotherapist or a counselor, or somebody that is a professional at working with behavior. But you can do it a little bit just to help people with stress or some anxieties and things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a program, or I'm going to explain how to create this program to help a person change from negative to positive. So what you do is you select the oil or the blend that they haven't been exposed to before. You have an environment that's very positive, either at the spa or for massage or meditation. I mean, whatever it is that creates a very positive feeling for the person. And this is where you introduce that blend or oil. They only smell it during that session or during that time. Now, I say between 6 to 10 times in a session, exclusively that oil in that environment. After those 6 to 10 times, the person can then carry that blend around with them. So when they're feeling in the negative behavior, if it's a mood like anxiety, fear, depression, they smell the oil. It should trigger the memory association, the positive feeling that's with that blend. And the memory and the emotion are settled in. So it really helps the person to smell, ignore the negative behavior, or help to move away from it. And it's also has to be a little bit conscious where this is happening. And it also can change dietary issues. You know, if there's something really bad that the person is eating and is giving them all these health problems, they've got to stop eating it or the essential oil won't work. You create that environment when they're ready to reach for that thing. Instead of that, they reach for the bottle, they smell it. It helps them to get more control over negative behavior. Because in a way, negative behavior is an addiction. And so we have to change the addiction. And addictions, no matter what they are really hard to change. So I've gone through this whole thing without really mentioning single essential oils except for a few. Because like I said, it's all about using the oils to trigger an olfactory response, and it does not matter what oil you use. You break all the rules about which oils in a way. If the person really likes rosemary, which is considered a stimulant oil, but they really need to be calmed down, use rosemary. It'll work. The magic is all there if the program is set up for an olfactory response. And don't dismiss, or I'm not dismissing, that the oils still have their therapeutic properties. So there's so many different ways to do this. And you can do it through application. I talk about ideas in my classes. And so the idea for somebody who needs to change bad behavior is you give the blend a name. You know, I mean, this would be kind of lame for a name, but call it good behavior, positive stuff, whatever you want to name it. I have a blend called Oasis. Somebody that's really stressed out and they really just need to get away, smell some Oasis. Oasis is a nice place to be when the tension is really high. So there's so many ways to go about this, but what you first need to understand and have really clear knowledge about is how the olfactory system works. You're going to find that a lot of the contradictions and confusion that's present in so much of the essential oil information is due to how we're translating that information without acknowledging the olfactory response in the way that, you know, whatever the information is, you have to relate the olfactory system and its relationship to how the oils are being used. So that's what I'm going to tell you about the olfactory system. You know, breathe in, smell. I just did that, and I have this really great oil called incense cedar that's pretty phenomenal. You know, you just put if you got any whiskers, put a little on there, and so it's like perfume. You can use essential oils like as a fragrance, and we call it fragrance therapy when you use it that way for mood behavior, for changes. There's so many ways to work with the olfactory system, and you know, I really hope you come and join me at the classes we're doing here at Bastyr University. It's the Essential Oil and Aromatherapy Certificate course. I teach everything I possibly can think about And I really leave it open for how you want to learn. If you have questions about certain things that I don't cover, you just ask the question, and I try to help you to understand it. I mean, I've gone through a lot of information, and there are things that I just don't know because it's not well understood, even though people will create rules or studies that don't really fit what they're talking about. You find that a lot with essential oil work. So in the class, we just review everything, we go over everything, we divide it up. So the foundations class, which is coming up here at the Kenmore campus, September 30th until October 1st. And then we'll follow that with the chemistry class, and then we do properties. And so from foundations, we divide it all up into the individual focus. So chemistry and biology and properties and blending and application, olfactory system, which is a lot of fun, skincare, we do consultation, and even business. I'll review business. And so come join me. We'll be doing more of these webinars. I hope you enjoyed it. I think we have some questions, but I need to put my microphone on, I think. So Susan, do we have any questions going on out there?
Looking for questions. Anybody have any questions? Oh, somebody lost audio and video.
Oh, that's no
Can you hear me,
fun.
John? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Kim McBride. Oh, Kim McBride says audio and video are back. So does anybody have any questions? Let's see, I'm looking at the hands. Julie says she's having surgery in 2 weeks. Julie, good luck on your surgery. Cynthia Dick says no questions. Good information though. Julie is starting to type a question, wondering if it would be safe to go to the class at the end of this. Oh. Questions. Okay, so Julie's having surgery, and she's wondering if it would be safe to go to the class at the end of this month, but Julie doesn't say when.
It's better to start with foundations, which, because it's coming up so quick. I mean, sometimes I'm flexible about these things, but it's so important to get, if you can, get the information in order. And so foundations, we're repeating that again in January. And we do that 3 times a year because foundations in chemistry are absolutely foundational. The foundations, I review everything. You get to learn the language in the way that I'm expressing it so that we're all on the same page and understanding each other. And then from there, and I cover everything in foundations, every category. Chemistry and biology are really important because I explain the chemistry in depth, which we are going to review every class, always talking about chemistry. Biology is really important because it's not about chemistry alone. There's so much influence on the chemistry these days that it's become very narrow. We're missing the point. We need to understand the biology, and we also need to understand in the olfactory system the chemistry in a way flies out the window and it becomes useless. So it's really important to take foundations and then chemistry, biology, and then continue on with the other courses. So I'm repeating it again in January, both those classes, January and February. Chemistry will be in February.
Let's see. So Julie, Jennifer, I think give us a call so we can have Jim answer your questions privately. It sounds like something that we might want to take offline. And I'm putting a phone number.
I have my email up there, so if you want to email me, that's good.
Yeah, okay, that's great. So Angela Anthony wants to know, will these classes ever be done for distance learning?
Yes. I have been working on the foundations class for a while, but my schedule has just been so insane, and it's really important that I get this out because there's so many people now that I'm traveling internationally. I want to get this out for everybody, so I'm really looking at getting kind of finalized on a date by the end of the year. I should know when it'll be out, and we'll be doing it through the university here through Bastyr.
Once we get the technical difficulties worked out.
Yeah.
So Ray Alidina, sorry if I mispronounced your name, Ray, wants to know, do you recommend any particular brand of essential oil?
No. Brand is marketing. And we have to get, this is the thing that's happening because there's a couple of brands out there that are making brand an issue because they want you to buy their brand. Essential oils, there is no best essential oil, okay? I just did a webinar about quality essential oils, and I explained how that works. There is no best essential oils. Even these guys that say they have the best essential oils don't, okay? Because there's no such thing as best essential oils. And I teach you how to understand that in my classes, how to figure out what oils to buy. I buy from the producers, but when I'm not buying from the producers, I have relationships with the people that I'm buying from. And the relationships you have with people, that's what's important. And so I have the best essential oils. There is no such thing. It's like wine. I'll tell you about that in my class.
Oh, you're far too humble. Jimm does use Jimm does use his vendors, who he knows personally, that do their essential oils in the correct distillation, and they are pure. And so that relationship he has with those people, then they do it according to nature, so they don't destroy the earth while they're producing their oils. So Danae Silva. Thank you, Danae, for your question. What are other ways to create a positive association to the oil? You mentioned in a spa or during a massage.
Any positive, feel-good environment. It has to be done very specifically. This is where it gets very tricky, because it has to be first emotional memory response to the oil. And what I'd suggest just on your own is create that environment first, no matter where it is. Even if it's a place in your home where you feel really, really good, really secure, really positive, really powerful, sit there, and I suggest a type of meditation. Even if it's just closing your eyes for 15 minutes, that's fine. Quiet, and relate to the feeling of the oil when you start smelling it. But any environment that's positive, it just shouldn't be a noisy or an aromatic-rich environment. And anytime you step outside of a certain controlled environment, you're in an aromatic-rich environment.
Okay. I'd also like to add that I was in a yoga studio recently, and a yoga teacher used an essential oil which was peppermint, and it was hot, sweaty. Used the peppermint oil quite generously, and then put it on my neck, and I had a skin burn reaction for about a day. So it's really important that the people who are using essential oils have the proper education. So, and you can get that here at Bastyr. Shannon Ellis asks, or says, that she had a reaction to an essential oil on her skin, especially between her fingers, and she thought it was geranium oil. She wants to know how she can test to see if it was a specific one. She got blisters and was very itchy. Oh, no.
Wow. That's one of the hardest things to answer. There are some people that will tell you any reaction you have is a detoxification. No. In fact, the better the oils, there's possibility that more reactions can occur depending on the complexity. Now, I'm saying that, but adulterated oils, synthetic oils, yeah, they can be bad too. This is so important, these things, and that's what I explain in my classes. So the reaction could be from a specific geranium oil, whatever that oil was, wherever it was coming from. Could be specifically that geranium. It could be something related to your skin, the histamines, the body. I mean, there's so much physiology going on. It's hard to determine what was going on. It could have been something that was already on your skin, reacting with the geranium. So the only way to really know is take that specific geranium, put it on, and see if it does it again. What I love about essential oils is that you never have to do that. If you know it's a geranium, use another oil. There's so many replacements for every oil that you don't need to use that oil. Sometimes other side of that reaction thing, always dilute the oil. It's kind of what Susan said about putting a ton of peppermint on your body. It's not only kind of irresponsible, but it's really a waste of great oils. You don't need to use that much. They should be diluted all the time. So come to my class, I'll explain how that all works. But that's a really tricky thing, is why a reaction is there. But for some people, it is an olfactory system reaction.
Thank you, Jim. Kim McBride has a question regarding the behavior change option and creating a positive one. Is it only one session of 6 to 10 times per session, and would you recommend multiple sessions and continue with individual carrying oil for personal use? I'm not sure what that means. It's
absolutely 6 to 10 sessions, not just 6 to 10 inhalations in one session. And so what you're doing is you're trying to really secure that emotion in that specific situation. The more secure the emotion and relationship is, the memory is with the odor, the more effective it's going to be in the long term. And long term can be 3 or 4 times it worked and then it stopped working, or it could be a forever thing. It's very, very subjective, or I should say individual, to each person. And creating a blend for somebody for personal use, or creating it for yourself, is a really great way to go, because you can create a fragrance that you really like. And again, it doesn't matter the therapeutic properties of the oil. If it's a fragrance you like, that's what to do. Work with that specifically in 6 to 10 sessions, not 6 to 10 inhalations in one. 6 to 10 sessions. That fragrance, and then you can wear it like a perfume, or just you got to be careful how often you use it, because that can also lower the effectiveness over time. And so it really becomes either a toner in a spray, so it feels real good to little squirt on the face, but you're also getting the olfactory effect. So many different ways to do this.
Great. So we've got about 5 minutes left to take 1 or 2 more questions. Hi, Kaylee. Kaylee wants to know if you can spell the essential oil specifically that you talked about, the hippocampus, which oil that was.
Oh, osmanthus. O-S-M-T-H. M-A-N-T-H-U-S. So O-S-M-A-N-T-H-U-S. O-S-M-A-N-T-H-U-S. Yeah, I had it up on my screen, and my screen's still there. Let me see if make sure I'm spelling that right.
It's spelled right. So we got that question answered. And one last question from Angela Anthony. She already asked about distance learning. We asked that one. Yep, we got that question. Do you offer shorter courses? Not necessarily to become certified aromatherapist, but to learn more?
Yes, that we're gonna add. We're looking at putting that in for the next year. Here in the Kenmore campus. If you're in the San Diego area, go ahead and give them a call over there and request that some of them are done there. I do travel around quite a bit, so if I'm doing a class in your neighborhood, or if you'd like to do one in your neighborhood, if you're Hawaii is a place I like to go. Let me see, Puerto Rico I'm going to go after the hurricane. It should be nice there. If you live in a really nice place, I'm so willing to come out there. But anyway, yes, we're going to do a lot of isolated courses. I have them on skincare. I have them on viruses and illnesses. So little 3-hour courses that just really focus on one issue. Yes.
Okay, so that is about the end of our time, Jim. I provided them with your email address. Awesome. They can also call Bastyr Continuing Education if you want to enroll online, or if you have more questions, 425-602-3349. And don't forget to enroll early on the September 29th so you can apply for the early rate. And if you mention that you were on this recording, we'll give you 5% off. How's that sound? That's a deal.
Awesome.
5% discount off an early bird rate. You can't get this anywhere else. So thanks all. Do you have anything else to say, Jim?
Thank you. Okay, no, just thank you. Love you guys. Take it easy.